some sort of divine thing that happened. Divine in the spiritual sense of supernatural, spiritual, divine when I meet with you. You know, like even the fact that something shifted in me for the first time in my life. I can control my eating because I identified the voice that is poisoning me. You think the voice is love. You deserve a chocolate. You've worked so hard today. But it's not love. It's actually poisoning me. Poisoning my mind, poisoning my body. So for the first time, this is now 2 weeks that I've been eating keto. I've lost 4 kilograms.
That's amazing.
And like even this morning, so because I had my vaccine, second vaccine, you're not supposed to do exercise for 10 days. So then I dropped the girls, and now my 10 days are over. And so I haven't exercised in 10 days. And so when I got back, I was like, actually, before the 10 days are over, I can start exercising again. I was like, I'm not going to exercise. I don't feel like it. But then I was like, no, this is discipline. I want, do it. Just do it. And I did it. Even though it was just like a 15-minute thing, I did it. And so, yeah. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so thrilled and excited for you. And
Yeah.
and be prepared that it's not gonna stay like this. Be prepared that it's not you're not enlightened now. This is not be prepared that all of this is there within you, but there are going to be days where it's like, where, how, what?
Yeah, like even now.
No, it is a practice. It is a practice.
Yes.
It's so tempting. The mind goes, I got it, click. No, it's a practice. It's a daily practice.
So let's do it quickly, because my inner child is triggered by this guy who doesn't do my edits. I feel like crying and smashing him in the guts. So,
yeah.
And I know I reacted as a child.
You want to explore that for a moment?
Yeah, I.
What is happening right now?
So I think I feel probably like discredited or brushed aside, unimportant, just, you know, like, I don't know. How maybe there's some powerlessness there. So what would
sorry?
Yeah, no.
My suggestion would be to take a moment to close our eyes and drop into the feel of it, away from the thought of it. Are you happy with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, let's as we close our eyes, let it be a gesture or a pointer of relaxing. So rest your hands where they're comfortable and consciously rest your feet. Let them connect to earth. Consciously, maybe a couple of times, just rolling shoulders and let them drop downwards. And let the space between your eyebrows, your forehead, all that is head space, let it soften. I look upwards inside and then let my inner gaze be like a light and let that fill my head. And then drop downwards and feel, well, first of all, feel the flow of your breath maybe as another level of anchoring. And also notice where else there's tension and relax through it. And then feel into your heart space. Or maybe your tummy. What's alive there? What's there?
I feel like my heart is sore.
Can you describe that sore?
There's like almost a sharp pain.
Can you allow that to be there even just for this moment and kind of hold it in love and patience and just send some gentle breathing into that sensation. And then notice maybe as you do, you might find tension piling up in your body again. Maybe the shoulders come up, so we want to usually protect ourselves and then again relax. So giving that embodied sign of, no, I got this. I don't need to hide. I'm not going to run away. I'm relaxing and I will be here. And then with that, as you breathe into that space, what happens or what comes up?
So I feel like I have like a bullied child that is triggered. That I tried to navigate around him to find my adult space and my God space, but it's very hard to navigate past this child. So I just asked Jesus to take the child and go play and bring light and truth and love. And now I feel like I can drop past the child almost into my spirit, if it makes sense. It was there, and now I can clearly flow into my spirit room where God is and my adult's me is. So now let me check if I say to myself, he doesn't want to do my edits. The test is if those feelings come up or don't. And I don't feel them. I don't feel fully relaxed, but I feel more, I don't feel the trigger.
Well, let's just make sure you're not pushing things aside and busy changing and manipulating. But what I'm really curious about is so if we think of triggers, the healing of triggers happens through feeling the emotional load that sits with it without reacting. That's how we undo the triggers. So I would maybe take another moment to just feel what's there inside me now, and as if you're sitting with one of your daughters, just holding space for whatever is alive there, holding space for this inner child to say and feel and do whatever it needs to do. And instead of acting it out, instead of giving the steering wheel to the inner child, we stay at the steering wheel, but we allow it to share what's there and what's happening within.
Yeah, I feel the child is gone, but I was still very strongly in head.
You relax back down into shoulders for another moment. Notice how they might have tensed up again and relax again, soften again. And doing this without a goal, without wanting anything, but simply relaxing to pause, to drop because we don't drop if we aim to drop. Does that make sense? We can't drop if we want to drop. We drop when we let go of all wanting and all resistance to whatever is, and we drop when we let go of all wanting to understand or figure out. We usually drop when we least expect it. Softening into our own heart, really coming back to this moment where gravity is holding you, like feeling your sit bones and feet, and witnessing the flow of breath. Really, the gift this moment is not being concerned with that issue at all, but just simple openness towards this moment, openness to God and creation. And then maybe from this place of softness, if you like, if you want to stay here, you can, or sort of come back to opening eyes again, and then from this groundedness and spaciousness, looking back at the video, and what is it that you need, and what is the most clear, to the point way of communicating that, and or how can you, what comes up as, okay, this is where we need to go, how can I make this happen from this untriggered but calm space? What's different, or what comes up?
Yeah. I think my first mistake is rushing. That's my first mistake. I am just causing panic. And this is one thing that I know that I have done in the past, is I'll just cause panic everywhere, and I won't cause productivity. Just making a note. So in other words, I make everyone frantic, but I'm not clear on what I want. So everyone's just frantic, but nobody really knows what to do.
Wow. And when they are frantic, so you in your triggered space, and then they're in their triggered space, and then they're not actually themselves anymore, right? And then so then what I ask myself often is what can I do? And it's a work in progress, clearly, is to, what can I do to meet people in their best, in their grown up, in the best version of themselves? How can I, in my doing and being, support the one on the other side to actually be there and not disappear in an inner child?
Yeah. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll sit scene by scene after we're done, and give clear feedback on the changes that I think need to happen.
And how have you guys been communicating?
WhatsApp and calls. So
Okay.
usually a call is good for creative collaboration, but maybe with this guy, I need to just do the work by myself and then send it to him. I was hoping to have a discussion with him, and he says, "What about this?" And I said, "What about that?" And he was just like, "No, no, no, no." And then in any case, it was 9:30, and I needed to meet you, so I just said, "Okay, fine, goodbye."
So what comes up from this quiet space as another way, or maybe a more helpful way right now to communicate your needs in clarity, taking him into consideration?
Mustn't be anything out of this panic state. So in other words, if I'm causing panic, I'm panicking. What I've realized about panic is that I don't realize I'm in panic. I don't realize I'm panicking. Like I'm not someone who hyperventilates but I've been in trouble in the sea twice. And then I've now learned to identify panic in me is that I only see one way and I don't see the other ways. I'm like, we must go this way.
Become very rigid.
Locked onto locked onto a thing instead of when I think I don't know if I told you the story, but I once went out at Elands Bay. And it was this normal thing I always get myself in. I go in when it's bigger than I'm comfortable. And then I managed to panic myself through the waves to the back line. And then I'm terrified to come back because the waves are so big and I'm going to get rolled. So I'm just sitting there terrified. So then I thought, okay, I'm gonna paddle in parallel with the beach to the rocks there where the point break is and get out on the rocks. So after 30 minutes of paddling, I realized I'm panicking. Let me ask God what to do. So I said, okay, God, what are the other options here? And he said, go back the way you came back in to the shore. You're going to get rolled twice. And then you'll be on the shore. And so I did. I turned, and it's exactly what happened. 2 waves rolled me, and then I was on the shore. And I was like, okay. So I think I'm feeling panic. And what I need to become clearer is in identifying that I'm tense. I'm going to just pass that. I can't pass that on unfiltered to my staff. Either I must not speak or I must become better to calm first.
Ideally, we always come back into grown-up, centered, and then speak or act. Anything in that triggered state is like static, like friction, like and that's exactly what you say, to learn to notice that quicker and quicker and quicker, because it's easy, at a point it's easy to look back and go like, oh shit, I thought it was all them and I was actually the one creating it. To then go further and further and be really curious and open to going like, okay, I want to catch myself sooner and sooner and sooner. Maybe eventually catching ourselves as the inner child comes up already and go like, oh, here's the trigger, catch it then already, and then come back. So yeah, beautiful, powerful.
Okay, so I quickly message the guy because he's probably sitting now. I basically hung up on him. I'm just going to message him quickly.
Okay, take your time.
Hi, Stuart. I'm just in another meeting. Sorry, I had to drop off so quickly. What I'll do is I'm going to sit and go through the scenes scene by scene. I'm actually going to screenshot them, put them on a document, and I'm going to see if there's a slightly tighter flow or better flow. But in the meantime, you can just effect the changes that the client asked for. Yeah, while we're waiting for the voiceover. Thanks, Stuart. Bye. Okay, so then at least that should hold on, sorry, I have to do this quickly. And is it possible for you to quickly screenshot each of the scenes and drop it into this PowerPoint so that you and I can just go through it together and see if we're happy with it? Do you have time for that now? Okay, now I can relax because that's being done.
Can you see, so what I've just been witnessing and so observation beyond the situation, can you see how when we're triggered and when we're in that triggered state and these, let's call them inner children, all we see is problem. We see problem, tension, challenge, whereas and we communicate with people also from that space of, oh, there's a problem. Whereas when we come back to this calm space and grown-up space, and for me, it's always an image of like zooming out, then we can go back to, okay, what the solution? What do I actually want and where do we need to go? And instead of staring at the problem, we now have the capacity to go, okay, what needs to happen to get there and it's a whole different way of looking at it. Can you see that?
I see it. It's so true. It's like picking up binoculars. So in a panic, you put them on the wrong way.
Yeah, I love that.
And you see the wrong answer, the wrong problem, you solve the wrong things.
Yeah.
But if you're calm and you put the binoculars on the right way, or the glasses or whatever, you can see what needs to happen.
Yeah. In the triggered state, we completely actually lose sight of what's the most important thing here right now, right? We get lost in drama, we put energy into this and hurt and that and arguing. We completely lose sight of, okay, actually, we're grown-up people and this is what we want to achieve. And these are the steps. It's really fascinating how that happens. Like it comes back to what comes up for me is this thing that landed so deeply with me that really nudged me is that, and Richard said it after he had Corona, he's like, I'm done with drama. I can't afford and I want to do it anymore. I don't think he's living it, but I feel that I've taken that and it landed so deeply in me to realize like drama literally, when we're at this level of being, right, of maturity, then drama really is a choice. And it's a choice I'm not willing to make anymore. Like, this intensity and the tenseness and the drama and this and then on top of it, we don't get anything done. And it's just like, no, I choose to, when I feel this tension, and I love how it usually reflects in the body. So for me, I notice in my body, and when I feel this tension, I go like, no, don't want to, there's nothing of value in this. Let me come back to relaxing. What is the most important thing right now? What is this about? And with clarity, how do we get there? How do we achieve that?
Wow. I'm at a table.
Oh, wow.
So a problem comes, then it's, okay, so you have a problem. And the state you're in is I'm in panic. My body is tense. What needs to happen? I cause panic because I'm frantic and I don't know what to do. The outcome is negative, usually wrong, drama,
Chaos.
chaos, disruption. And the team feeling is that they're going to feel used, tired, and they're not going to feel great. But if the problem comes and I'm calm, my body feeling is relaxed, I breathe into what needs to happen. I cause productivity because I am clear, calm, I communicate, and I collaborate with my staff. Like I say, what should we do? Instead of telling. Then the outcome is positive, right? And the team feels part of it and energized. And
Wow. And this, can you see how this is leadership? This is leadership stuff.
101. This
This
is
is
leadership.
leadership. You managing your state and being so sincere about it that you practice it so much that you can eventually, so as you manage your state, you can then, you have the space to open up to the state of your team, and you are able to hold that space for them, meet them where they at, and actually through your own calmness inspire others. And that's where you really become the captain on the boat, the one who has the meta vision, the view, you know what I mean? Like, then you're really there to see the bigger picture and empower your team to make it a reality.
So I let you finish and speak because I think that that's a beautiful video snippet for you. Let's make a note. 10:09. 10:09. That's a really nice little leadership snippet. Maybe I'll pull it up. Yeah, you're right, because I've often battled with what is leadership? What is leadership? What is leadership? I don't even know it. It's developing others, it's having a vision. I think a lot of people think leadership. I've got this one toxic female. Have you ever dealt with her? What's her name? Lily Niemann. Did she ever come through? Did you ever have a session with her?
I met up with her. I had her on the phone for a while, and then I had one session with her, and now she's not responding and not paying me.
I know it. She is the most toxic person I've ever met. She thinks leadership is bullying, terror, chaos, disruption. I mean, she's me on a much. I mean, like if you spotted, you got it, like you say. I see the worst of me in her without judging her, so that I feel better about myself.
No, I hear you.
But
observation from a grown-up space and not non-judgmental observation. I hear.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for me, leadership, I really like this because I've not really known what leadership is. And I've not been very good at managing my state at all. Like I get angry. I don't. What was it that you said? What do my staff need, or what is needed? Did you say that? What needs to happen? I think that is the question. Because I'm just going to make a post-it reminder for myself, so that it's not about just reacting. I don't want to be a Lily Niemann. Maybe I am. Maybe my staff secretly think I'm like Lily, and I think I'm this great leader, this great boss. Meanwhile, I'm
We're
reactive.
all connected, and we all reflect one another, and we all have our strong sides and our weaknesses, and your staff will know that, and they love you as you are, with the craziness and the ups and downs. I'm sure there'll be moments where they'll be relieved to have more of your conscious you. You know what? The image that comes up I want to share with you is like, it's kind of like, leadership. I want to compare it to like a kindergarten teacher or like a first grade teacher. If you have a really great teacher, someone who's like fully there and like present and at peace within, and just like, then that teacher is completely open to navigating and managing the classroom space in a really loving, kind, and you said productive. I'm just picking that up, in a productive way. And leadership is somehow no different. We basically most of the time busy managing inner children, and just kind of wanting our staff. Ultimately, we want our staffs to be in a self-actualized state as much as possible. Like, ideally, you want your staff to be present and grown up as much as possible, rather than being in a child space drama of tunnel vision. And so yeah, this kindergarten picture comes up. You, as a leader, you're basically you're holding it all together, and you're noticing, this kid is having a bit of a tantrum thing. Does it help to then shout at him, or can I maybe notice and like find the right response instead of reacting to them, to find the right response for whatever is surfacing at that point. And at the same time, you're the teacher, having the bigger picture in mind. Like, okay, this is here now, but this is also the stuff we need to get through this year. And so it's a really beautiful dance, actually, being in leadership.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, because
And I
if
think
I'm
our homework as leaders really is the navigating, managing our own state of being. The better we're with that, the easier all the rest will become.
yeah, I observe that people's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. So like, what's quite a strength in me is I can be very quick in decision making. Like, what is needed? We need a staff member, no problem. Put the ad up, hire the interview, and hire the person.
Yeah, you make
And that
things
is
happen.
make things happen. So that is also the problem when there's stress, because then my response is fast when it needs to be opposite. It needs to be slow. So like Michael, my business partner, he is very calm. He cannot hire staff. If the building was burning down, he couldn't hire a staff member. Incapable. He will work till 4 every morning, and I'll say, Michael, find someone. What? But so his calmness leads to inactivity. But on the one hand, it's great because he's calm, and he's not reactive, which makes him calm. I'm volatile and reactive, which makes me a busy doer. And just when the stress comes, we need to switch.
And notice that his calmness is also reactivity. So you contract and want to do even faster when you are challenged, when you're stressed. And his calmness, that looks like calmness, actually also just is a avoidance pattern. So then he, instead of, you go in, hit through the wall, and he pulls out. And it's the same immature behavior, basically, just in different expressions. And what I wanted to say, like you say, making things happen is definitely your strength. I'm so inspired by that in you, absolutely. And that action is amazing. The question always is, am I making things happen from a grounded, from a open grown-up space, or am I tapping into this action from a panic space? And then your skill, you use your skill to avoid, because when we panic, we're avoiding something, right? We don't want to drop into this discomfort that's happening right now. We want to run away from it. And so we want to do even more. We want to change. Whereas if we can, what we're doing here, cultivate the courage and the skill to be able to drop into whatever is uncomfortable right now, you know. What am I feeling? What am I avoiding? What's triggered in me? And make peace with that again. Then we can come back to, okay, clear focus. Where do we need to go?
Yes.
It's really a key lies in this, and you put it in different words earlier, learning about ourselves, what is the patterns, where am I noticing I'm contracting, noticing I'm like, so I can easily go like, oh, I'm really tired, I need a rest. And I've noticed that it's not truth, it's to avoid something. I'm feeling stressed and I'm feeling tense, and instead of leaning into that and finding a productive solution, I pull away and I hide. So you know what I mean?
I like that. So what do we avoid? What do we want to avoid?
Yeah, that's a really powerful question. I use a lot. I go like, what am I avoiding? What am I avoiding? When I notice tension and I notice myself, and like one of the things would be like being on my phone suddenly a lot, or wanting attention, or suddenly I feel like, oh, I want to call Richard. And then I go like, hold on, why? What am I not liking right now? What am I not wanting to feel right now? And therefore grabbing on, oh, maybe I should do that. Or maybe I should go to the mall. Maybe I should eat something. Those things that we can eventually recognize as our avoidance patterns. The better we get at that, the easier it is to go like, oh, I'm really feeling like a piece of cake now. Let me check in. What's here? What do I need to make peace with? What am I avoiding? And can I open up to that thing that I'm running from? And that takes us straight back into grown up.
What am I avoiding when I'm in a panic state, chaos, raging, acting without thoughts? I think Mike is avoiding making the wrong decision, maybe, but I don't know what I'm avoiding.
It's a feeling. It's a feeling we're avoiding. It's a feeling of fear. Usually underneath all of it, usually always sits fear. Not good enough, not worthy. And it becomes a deep guttural, like instinctive fear. It goes down to a fear of death ultimately. Because if I fuck this up, I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'll lose all sense of connection to other people. I'll not have a roof over my head, and then it's a
The
panic.
tribe will kick me out, and I'll starve.
Proper panic. We go into proper. This is the end of it.
Existential.
Yeah, existential. Yeah. And the more we can make peace, the more we can. And it's a process. It's a journey, right? The more we are willing to feel our own vulnerability, our own contradictoriness, our own fallibility.
Yes.
The more we can be at peace with these really uncomfortable feelings, the more free you are. You know what I mean? Because then you won't be triggered anymore. Then you can be like, oh, there's this fear coming up, but it doesn't sweep you off your feet anymore, because you've familiarized yourself with it.
I need to maybe get a little more into that fear state, like understanding it a bit better. Because I can identify that I think it happens so quickly that I go, the problem happens, the fear state kicks in, what I jump into is panic, chaos, rage, act without thoughts. And then I need to calm myself, peace myself, process, get down. And then then I can act out of calm, wait, think, be. And then I act.
And don't expect too much of yourself to start with, we've been running away from these feelings all our life.
Yes.
As a child, those were too big to handle, and we need to be gentle in opening ourselves up to it, because it's, as you said, existential. It's like this. So for me, I've been running from this feeling of loneliness, and then underneath that loneliness is this emptiness, and there's a sense of meaninglessness in life, really. And to be able to hold these feelings, these emotions, without letting them knock you off your feet, it's a patient path. And that's why it's important, the practice of stillness, to make that a daily practice, because that is where you're basically teaching yourself to feel what's there. You refamiliarizing yourself with feeling rather than thinking. And that's why I also say that this practice of stillness, it mustn't become I'm sitting down now to feel blissed out, but it's a gesture towards all your inner children of like, hey, you know what? I'm going to sit with you guys for the next 10 minutes or so. And I'm just here. And I'm willing to hear whatever needs to be heard. I'm willing to feel whatever needs to be heard. And maybe it ends up in bliss, but maybe not. And that too is accepted. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like Mike goes into hiding mode. Like if I just stay here, everything will be fine. No one can see me.
Yeah.
And
That's something he learned as a kid.
Yes, I go into fighting mode, which is running around, jumping, throwing things.
Yeah.
Neither is right.
I go into pleasing, like I completely lose me. Who am I in this? I just then want to make sure I say or do whatever I believe the other one would want to hear or do. So that's what I've the kid.
Yes.
Yeah. And can you see how this is a journey? So we basically practice this in our day-to-day life, and it's something that takes kindness and patience and compassion also, because we're at a level now where you're dealing with tender stuff. This is not, you're not at the surface level anymore where it's like, oh, I want to do this differently. This is tender stuff. So holding and honoring your own reactivity in like grace and kindness is important.
Yeah, and putting that, so it's okay to feel those feelings and everything, just to learn to identify them and not do anything until I can go through the valley of peace, almost like not until
you're back. You're back,
yes,
and you know the difference. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And these feelings, ultimately so we've locked them away because they were too big at some stage or whatever, and then we kind of forgot about it. And then being triggered means that something's coming up, but with power. It's not just a gentle little, we've stopped feeling these subtle waves of emotions. And so we've suppressed all of that. And then they kind of pile up and then just go. So, so whatever feeling comes up, it's like, oh, there's a sadness, or there's this, or there's a hurt in the heart. These things come to go. That's, and keeping that in mind, you don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to push it away. You don't have to, if you go into thinking then and understanding and analyzing, you're also not feeling it. So allowing it to just be there, and I promise you, nothing's there to stay. Some things might need to come up 10, 15, 20, maybe 100 times. Other things come up once with maybe a memory or an image, or and then they come to go. It's like pooing. It's no different. It's emotional pooing. It comes to go. You don't want to pick it up again and
No.
let it go. You also don't want to hold on. You want to just let it come, let it go.
That's
Very
true.
simple.
I like that. And if I think of Jesus, there were a lot of times in the Bible it says that, have you heard of this story? I think I may have told you. So there's these bad religious people. They bring a woman caught in adultery to Jesus. I think you know the story. They bring a woman caught in adultery to Jesus, and they say that Jesus, we want to stone her. The Bible says we should stone her. The Old Testament. What should we do? They were trying to trap him, and he didn't do anything for a long time. He was dead quiet. He didn't speak. And so you can imagine the emotion that came at him. Here's a crowd that came around. Firstly, it's the baddies. There's the woman crying. Then there's his followers. And then there's just the people looking.
Kindergarten, chaos.
In the middle, and everyone's going, what should we do? What should we do? What should we do? What should we do? You know? And he doesn't say a word. And I just sense him with this process and connecting with the Father, the Spirit, and he's just drawing in the sand. And then once he goes through that whole process and he hears, he waits for the wisdom to come to him.
Oh, beautiful.
And then he says, let you who has never sinned throw the first stone at this woman.
Oh, goosebumps.
I know. Oh my gosh. And then everybody just goes away. And he says to the woman, go and sin no more. He says, where are your accusers? They've gone. I don't accuse you either. Go, sin no more.
Beautiful.
So I want to be like that.
So see, how can you anchor, how can you remind yourself of that maybe when things go crazy and panicky? How can you recall that story and
how can I was thinking maybe if I find, because I didn't print out my picture of falling backwards into water, falling off of that, but I'm not going to do it now, but I'm just pulling the pictures up so that I can print them and just put them in front of me on my thing. And then Jesus drawing in the sand. So these are my fighting moves, Jesus drawing in the sand. You know what I mean? Like falling backwards into water, falling backwards. Okay, Jesus drawing in the sand.
It's like this is like a martial arts school.
These are my practices.
I love that.
Like you have lotus and upside down dog. I have Jesus drawing in the sand.
I love that.
And that for me means stop, wait, hear from the Lord, get out of head, get into spirit, be calm, be quiet.
Check in what's being triggered in me and
yes.
let that go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Wow. Sure.
I must write this down. They're my practices.
Like what's that video game? Street Fighters or
Yeah.
Tekken, like where they all have their special moves.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are your moves.
Exactly.
Ah.
Wait to hear and act. And then I have falling backwards into water. Okay. Those are my, so far, my two big practices.
How does that feel now? What's alive in you now?
I love this Jesus drawing in the sand because it's, I mean, falling backwards into water is every second of the day, walking, drinking coffee, working. But Jesus drawing in the sand is panic, stress, chaos.
For when the shit hits the
Yes,
fan.
exactly. This is my work stress practice.
Beautiful.
So it's a nice practical thing for me to visualize and do. And I like them because they're both body feelings. Like falling backwards into water, it's instantly out of head, it's instant relaxed body, and my whole body does this. And
just watching you, I can feel
yes,
it.
Jesus in the hand is more like it's more, it's a body practice. It's come down and be slow. Don't even make eye contact with the problem.
Yeah. It's more of a conscious turning inwards, pulling back, takes discipline to not blurb out the very first thing that comes up, but actually it's very
quiet
sincere.
and wait.
Stunning. And how
you.
do you feel now within you, in Dylan, and in your leadership role just now, this moment?
I actually feel like I know how to be a leader now. I never knew how to be a leader, and I feel like this is a very, very important step that I was missing. I used to think it was cute for me to like lose my temper, or like I don't rage at people, but I know I'm not happy, and I thought that was my privilege as the owner of the company to have a little, what I call like a little shit fest. I actually see it as so childish now.
Yeah. And that too without judgment, like that too held in lots of love. But I agree, we are actually being very childish a lot of times. And while we were in it, it felt very true and reasonable and justified. But as we grow out of it, and I think this is, to me, this is a journey of growing up. I like calling it that. I mean, you've heard me say it before. And as a grown up, it's like, no, actually, it's not cute and it's not cool. It's not okay, and it's we can do better.
So I just realized the child state doesn't hold back. So the child state, it just flows like a little rage. Whatever my feeling is, I will just poop in my hand and fling it on the wall. And the adult state flushes that poop away.
The adult is like, oh, I really feel like pooping in my hand and throwing it on the wall, but I choose not to.
I have to clean it.
to find a more productive. It's actually, it's really that. It's
Exactly
like,
that.
oh, I noticed that this is what I would do right now, and maybe be amused with it and be okay with it, and then
Yeah,
just translate it into a grown-up action.
exactly. Like hold back, think, stop. Well, actually get out of head, be calm, quiet, process what needs to happen, what is happening, what needs to happen, and all this chaos of emotion. Don't act, and only act when you have flushed away the emotions and you can be calm, think, quiet, and be. So the adult has more holding back, and the child just free flows emotion.
Yeah,
So that's an
yeah,
insight for me.
yeah, beautiful.
I think that's a snippet as well about poop,
Do you
leadership
see
and poop.
yourself right now? Yeah, hey?
Hey,
Do you see yourself right now?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you see a difference?
yes, I do,
When you look at yourself now, do you do you like this Dylan?
I do,
You do, eh? I do
I
too.
do.
She's beautiful.
You're different.
You
Can you feel the
you look
difference?
different. Yeah, you look different too. When we started, when you said, "Yeah, I'm good." Yeah, right.
Yeah, you're
And
right, because that was a very tight child.
yeah, and now it feels like
No,
you're here. You,
yeah,
Dylan
yeah,
is here.
yeah,
And Dylan, and I notice that in me too, when I sometimes look in the mirror and I can see that I'm not here. I'm not the grown up. And then I need
yeah.
to check and I need to see what's happening and then come back.
I wonder if I've known this before because it feels like I haven't. Don't. And look, maybe there's levels of knowing, like I've known this before, but it's never, I don't
Yeah.
know. You know what I mean? Like, but this feels so simple. And I know I've known of child state and adult state, but I've known it in a very uh, theoretical way.
And these
And
things are, it's got to do with timing. I think we hear things a million times and we understand them this way and that way. And it's almost like we have to journey through layers, and then we hear the very same thing again, and it's like, oh, wow, is it that? Okay. So I think it's always a reflection of, because we grow,
mm,
we, in our children, we see it. We don't show it on the surface, but especially if we're curious and we do this work,
mm,
we change. I mean, no, you're not
mm,
the same who I spoke with last week. You're
mm,
not. You've evolved and grown and you've peeled away layers and this and that. So
yeah,
so then maybe the same thing comes again and it suddenly has a whole different meaning because you're at a different stage and a different
yeah.
layer.
I think it always has meaning. And then, as you say, you're evolving and growing and evolving and growing. And maybe
Yeah.
because that, like if you look at an onion, maybe because where my onion was and I first understood this, a little seed was planted, and now another, it deepens the understanding, it builds on what was known before. Yeah, but it feels very simple to me.
And it is so simple in the end,
Yeah,
but it seems like the path to that simplicity leads through complexity. It
yes,
almost feels like it's just part of the journey. It's like we have to unclutter all the complex stuff and
yes.
go, and then we poof, oh, here it is.
It
Oh, is it that simple?
always comes back down to your God state.
Yeah.
It always comes down to this.
Yeah. So simple. I mean, just ultimately, it's like one of the teachers I really enjoy. She says the essence of her teachings is just stop everything for this moment, stop everything and see what happens.
Whoa,
I mean, it's so simple. Like,
that's insane.
relax, stop. And yeah, it's fascinating. But to be able to hear that, we
Wow,
have to have journeyed quite far already.
wow. Wow.
Look, if you think of it, this thing about sitting still, I mean, that's years ago when I said, let's just sit and on a bench by the sea and be still. I mean, now you'd be like, yeah, amazing, let's do that. Back then,
I
there
couldn't even
was
do it.
no option to do it. To sit on a
Yeah.
bench by the fucking sea and not talk was like impossible. So
No.
so we evolve and change and learn and grow up.
Ah, yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan. It's such a joy to see where you're at and to see how much you're moving. And
I just, yeah, should have never stopped seeing you.
but it all had its place, I'm who I was then is not who I am now.
Mm,
And it's all got its place.
mm, yeah. Thank you, my beautiful.
Thank you. I wish you good luck with the rest of your day and
Thank you.
good luck
Are you
exploring.
ever, are you ever coming to Germany? You said a while ago you wanted to.
Yeah, no, and not this year. It was too
Mm.
much with the corona and the COVID and maybe next year if it.
Come in summer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice
I'd
to
love
see
to.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah.
that'd be amazing. We can go to Berlin together.
Yes. Oh my goodness, that's definitely on the cards. I so need to go to Berlin.
Right, you
100%.
can show me all the places.
Yeah, I'll probably not even recognize Berlin anymore.
Anyway, love you so much. Have
Thank
an amazing day. Thank you for your time.
you. I
Thank
love you
you.
too.
Love
All the best. Lots of love.
you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.